Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Sun Dragon Tips and Tricks. Rebecca at home, except I'm not at home, I'm at the shop in my teaching room. I have a funny story about that, but it is Monday, it is technically my day off, and I am here because the power is out at my house. So here's what, you see what happened was. I'll tell you the story, but I had plans to show you all of, or most of my Colorwork sweaters that I've made. So I packed them all up to bring them home as the first part of the story. And then I just drove them right back. So, sorry, I'm looking over my screen at what's happening outside because, easily distracted. So I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in Brevard, North Carolina. I am at my shop. These are two Papillons, by the way. Anyone who has watched the Papillon videos, and that might be why you're following me, this is the one that was in some of my videos about how to do different squares and things. And this one is one that Liz has made. She's my assistant at the shop, and she used lots of different yarns and much thicker yarns and a bigger needle to do hers. This is where we do our coach and connect, and I will talk about that at the end. So I have a funny story about why I'm here instead of at home, but the first thing I wanted to do was to say, oh my gosh, I forgot to mention this last week. We hit 20,000 subscribers to this channel, which I think is absolutely amazing. It is like, I'm over the moon about it. I'm just like, that is amazing for little old me. So thank you so much if you're a subscriber. If not, please consider subscribing. It's kind of amazing because the more our numbers grow, the more I get suggested to other people, and the more people can learn from this awesome experience, all these kinds of things. So anyway, so I just think that's so cool. And so I was gonna film this week after I came into the shop to do a yarn order with our rep from Knitting Fever, Eddie, and he's the one who sells us the Noro and the Juniper Moon and all these really awesome yarns. And we spent a good 4 hours with him today. And while we were doing that, and I'm sorry if the table keeps shaking, see, it just did it because we're on the teaching table, the camera was shaking, excuse me. And I keep like putting my hands on the table or and that shakes the camera. So I'll try to stop doing that. Okay. I talk with my hands. So I was in here for about 4 hours with Liz and Eddie, and Bernie was in here because it's hot out today. And he was here for the AC because Liz doesn't have air conditioning at her house. She has a lot of fans running. And while we're here, I get a notification that the power has gone out at my house. And I'm like, well, that happens sometimes through weird occurrences or not so weird occurrences, so be it. So I bundled up all the sweaters I wanted to show y'all, and I went and did some errands, and I got home around 4, and that's about when the power was supposed to be restored. I got home like 3:30, 4-ish. And as I'm getting home, my neighbor gets a message and shares it with me that the new update, because the new update for when power is going to be restored is 4 a.m. because they were fixing a culvert that got messed up and blocked and rebuilt during Helene in our area. And in fixing that, they hit a power line. And they were like, oh yeah, it's gonna be put back in at 4:15 p.m. And I'm still looking. Yep, it still says 4 a.m. here. And now it's 4 a.m. So I went home and I was like, oh man, I can't film for my episode. And I was like, oh well, I guess I'm not gonna film today. And then I went, oh, my phone's at like 23%. That's not good. And I went to try to charge it in my car, and it was going so slowly that and it was also starting to get stuffy in the house. Kind of okay downstairs, really stuffy upstairs. My cats are probably not loving it, but I was like, I guess I just need to drive back into town. and bring all my sweaters back because there's power at the shop and there's AC at the shop. And I'm getting a taste of what life is like for Liz, except I don't even have fans to keep me cool. So so my plan right now is to film and post this for y'all and then go find food to bring home and camp out at home, and hopefully it'll cool off a little bit. It's in the mid to high 80s at home with high humidity. If it was here in town, it might be closer to 90. And it's going to be in the 70s overnight. So wish me luck that it's not unbearably hot at my house overnight and I get some sleep tonight. But for right now, I'm here so that I can tell you about all the fun things coming up. And like I said, I wanted to make this a review of Colorwork sweaters, Colorwork yoke sweaters, or just Colorwork sweaters in general, because we are about to hit August. I'm looking at my calendar. Yes, I saw someone's thing about a paper calendar. I have a wall calendar here. I don't have a paper calendar I carry on from all the time. That would be lovely, but I would probably forget it somewhere and it still wouldn't be helpful because it wouldn't be in front of me. But that's just my life right now. So August starts on Friday, and we had scheduled the beginning of the year that the Harvester, I believe I have that pattern here. Ta-da! In general, a Jennifer Steingass or Jenn Steingass Makealong for August and September. It's not in collaboration with Jenn Steingass. It's just I saw this pattern was published and I love her stuff. So I decided to make a Jenn Steingass Makealong just for the shop to do. And focusing on this one because this was a newly published pattern when I was choosing the Makealongs for the year at the end of last year. So what I love about this one is it feels like it's got motion to the color work. Like they're traditional color work sweaters. And then there are ones that kind of take an interesting slant on that. So I have started mine. I will show you in a second. But we have different options if you want to join. You can always knit these for, you don't have to pay anything to be part of this Makealong. You can buy yarn from the shop or not buy yarn from the shop. I've seen at least one comment where someone's like, I'm excited to do this because it's just knowing other people are making a colorwork sweater can inspire confidence and just give you a little more oomph to do it, you know? So I love having something interesting. I love making sweaters, first of all, and or just tops in general. And I love having something that is a little more interesting in the sweater to keep me going, whether that's lace or color work or all those kinds of things. And someone recently came in the shop and said, I can't do a color work sweater. I went, yeah, sure you can. Why not? Like keeping the color work loose is something I always tell people to keep in mind. In fact, when I am knitting color work, I try to forget about gauge. I'll test for gauge with the main color. And if the color work is all throughout the sweater, I might test for gauge with color work. But when I'm doing something that only has color work in one section, I may just try to not stress about gauge in that moment because I want loose floats so that there's room for things to move and settle and pop later. So there's all kinds of things with color work. I should start by just defining some of the terms, some of the things like that. I will say I've already made some videos for this channel on like methods of doing stranded color work. And the ones I've made for this channel are free. You can always pay to join in with me and have conversation with me. But I will always keep them free of, there's color work videos on this channel for different tips and tricks to kind of keep that nice and loose. I have a few videos on different sweater components that I find are always helpful. I did a really intense masterclass on top-down colorwork sweaters a few years ago, and I am going to try to re-release those videos. They were pay videos, but you attended the masterclass and I gave the recordings later. And I'm probably not going to have a huge masterclass like that again, but for a reduced price, rather than attending it, you can have access to those recordings that were done on Zoom. And there's a playlist you need a special link to on YouTube. I will re-release that on our online shop. So, but there's still a lot of free access opportunities in this channel. So, Colorwork is what I would say is, oh, and I left one in the other room, but it's my Mountain Mist one. I don't have that one here because it's not quite as intricate as these other ones, but stranded colorwork. Let me grab, this is the one that's been the statement piece for so many people coming into the shop. This is Jennifer Steingass again, Jenn Steingass. And colorwork is when there is a pattern made in the fabric by using 2 yarns on a row and doing so many stitches of your main color, which is your background color, and so many stitches of a contrast color. And sometimes it can be more than one contrast color in a row. Very traditional color work has the name Fair Isle because it developed in a certain place and it's named after that place. And so you could have more than one contrast color creating the designs. So when I talk about floats, when you're doing this type of color work, it is not mosaic when you only have one color in your hand and you're slipping stitches to give the effect of 2 colors in a row. There are 2 colors in the same row, and you have floats. So this is the front and this is the back, and the yarn is floating behind the stitches of the other color. So like on the front at the top here, where there are just a few stitches of my contrast color, there are long floats, or I've had longer floats, but there are long floats of the contrast color behind the stitches of the main color. So the back will look totally different than the front. And everyone's got different theories and concepts and guidelines for when you lock down those floats or don't. And I actually just realized there's a sweater in progress at home that I'm working on called Polyrhythm, which has a lot of color work. It's bottom up, but with all the craziness going on today, I'm lucky I have all these sweaters here at all. So because I took them home and then I brought them back, and you know, that kind of thing. So most of the ones I've done don't necessarily have traditional color work in them. Their traditional color work will have like snowflakes and crosses and this, that, and the other. And there's some very typical designs and neat designs to Fair Isle. And the general category of using multiple colors is just called stranded color, where these strands, these floats going behind. So I thought I'd show off some of the ones I finished and what I like about them and all that kind of stuff. And so the Avena is one that I finished before we had our top-down colorwork yoke sweater make-along a couple years ago. And the yoke is this part between the collar and where the sleeves separate. So it's like your chest area, the upper chest area. It's where if you were yoking oxen, so not yoke like the yolk of an egg, Y-O-L-K, it's Y-O-K-E. It's like where you would put rest on their shoulders, the oxen, if you were yoking them to plow a field or to carry stuff. I think people used to wear yokes too around their neck so they could carry buckets of water and stuff like that. So sometimes it's hard to figure out where the front and the back of this. So I have I left my end hanging, which is the beginning of rows in the middle of the back. I'm taking this little dragon guy off because he gets stuck on all of my knitting when I take things on and off. And So this is one of my absolute favorite ones from Jennifer Steingass. She tends to, and I'm putting this on over a t-shirt, so the collar might look a little funny. She likes kind of wide rolled collars. You could try to shift that if you wanted to, if you're making one of her designs and she has that. You could put your own ribbing in, but you'd have to figure out how to modify that. So I'll do a lot of backing up and sitting down, and this might be a stain I could never get out, but this is also, this is a tonal yarn from Fiber Spates, the Vivacious DK. It is one of my favorite yarns to knit with. When it's got good drape, you can totally see my jeans through that, see? But, and it's Feederbrook Entropy DK. It's a color changing yarn up here. And what I love about a color changing yarn with your contrast color is this was written to maybe have 3 contrast colors to build a fade, and I just let the yarn fade as it went. So so this one was really, really fun to make. It was written, I think, for worsted weight yarns, and both of these yarns are a DK, so a little thinner. So the drape is lovely, and it's a little more drapey than other yarns, and that have a little more structure. And it's just comfy and cozy. And again, that I was fascinated by the Avena and the movement that goes on in it. And it's really crazy when you're standing and it looks like it's color work on the sleeves, but it's really, if I stretch my arms out like this, it's that the color work happened before sleeve separation. But the way it drapes, it looks like you did it on your sleeves. So let me show you other Jennifer Steingass things that I've done, and then I'll show you other sweaters I've done that have color work. It's not on the yoke, but one of the other ones that I finished, this is a fingering weight sweater, and it is it is both Fiber Spates Vivacious 4-ply, which, and I've got, this is from fixing. A moth got into a couple of my sweaters. Not at this shop, but I've had to fix, like this one hasn't been on display. At the last shop, everyone loved this sweater. This is the Goldenfern, and it has color work at the bottom, which I think is a really neat twist on it. Everyone loved it and went, ooh, I want to do that. And then I told them it was fingering weight, and they went, maybe I don't. So I did it with 2 colors of Fiber Spates Vivacious 4-ply. Ugh, too many things going on at once. This is Blush, by the way, is the color. And then it's Feederbrook Dark Energy. I may not remember all color names and everything. But this one is really fascinating. The way I did it, just, you know, by happenstance. And you're going to see where I've tried to patch moth hole that I haven't blocked yet, so it's a little funky looking. But this one, there's a couple things going on with this one. Because it was so loose, like I didn't want to lock these really long floats and have them show on the other side. So that's the color work. Here are the floats. And some of the floats are a little, like, have been snagged since I blocked it and have gotten a little funky. Like you can see that right over here. So it's not perfect, but it really has settled. This is where I really tried to forget about gauge. And it looks a little hinky when I first did it, but with time and with blocking, it is now super gorgeous. And I still catch my rings on it and all the time. This one I keep, even if I'm not going to put it back out on display because of the weird moth hole that I'm not sure if it's going to settle right. This one I keep because it's a really great demonstration of color dominance, this thing called color dominance. And that's from trying to fix the moth hole. So and see, that's the little moth hole that I've patched up with new yarn, but I haven't blocked it to help it settle in. So it's pretty visible right now, which is why this may not go back out on display. I've got to see if I can settle and tweak that a little bit. But let me see if I can back up so you can see the lovely color work. It's really, really pretty, and this is much less hot than the other one. Here's what I mean by color dominance. So I didn't believe this was a thing for the longest time, of like, depending on if you're doing two-handed knitting, it's which yarn goes in which hand. If you're doing it with one hand, it's which one kind of comes over or under. And if you're doing it, so with the right hand, it's about bringing yarn over to do a stitch and bringing yarn from under to with the other color to do a stitch. With continental knitting, it's about which one is to the right and which one is to the left if they're both on the same finger. And whatever's furthest to the left, which is what's going to feel like it's coming up from underneath when you're doing your stitches with it rather than over from the top, you want your contrast color to be in your left hand or coming from under or over further to the left if you have them both on one finger for continental. And I didn't think this was a thing. I really was like, psh, it shouldn't matter. And then this sweater, I did my sleeves with the contrast color in my left hand and in my right hand. And look at that. You can see the difference. Like the contrast color pops when it's coming from underneath. And this is fine if you didn't know that this existed. This is cute, but this sings. They're very different. Even the cuff part is very different if the contrast is held in a different position. Now, when you have more than one contrast, I haven't played around with that enough to really know what's going to happen with that, but I would think you would want the main color as far to the top or as far over to the right as possible. But it's really crazy. Like color dominance, it makes a difference. So this is my, oh, that's right, I've got one more in here. I have trouble keeping track of everything I've made. This is my Goldenfern, and I confuse it with my Goldwing, which is another pattern by her that I made during the Makealong. So the Avena I'd made before, the Goldenfern I'd made before the Makealong a couple of years ago. And I made about 3 or 4 sweaters during the Makealong, and one for each session I was doing. And this one is made with Barocco Ultra Alpaca. And this has more of a traditional feel to it, in that it's got a design that kind of radiates out at a straight angle. It just kind of goes out, radiates like a sundial kind of thing. What I liked about this, and this is the back, the short rows were done before you did the pattern work. This is the front. See how that pattern work is up a lot higher? What I liked about this is it starts with your contrast color. Like your color dominance shifts in the middle of this. It's pretty crazy. So you start with what ostensibly is your contrast color, which when you get to the color work has to be your main color, it has to be in your right hand, and your main color has to be in your left hand so that this pops, so that the teal of this pops, and then it switches to do the mirror image of it, and that's when you get to switch to the teal being in your right hand and the other one being in your left. But so this is similar. You can kind of see like a style to her work. Like you don't have to do the color work on the sleeves if there is color work on the sleeves. But, and look, I got fuzzies from wearing this. I just think like she's got color work cuffs, she's got repetition of detail, but they're all unique and different. This has an actual ribbed collar instead of a rolled collar. And I think, did the other one? I think the Goldenfern did too, but it was a pretty wide collar, right? You would have to tinker with that if you wanted that to be tighter. The Ultra Alpaca has a different drape and feel to it than the Vivacious DK does from Fiber Spates. But these, like, picking a good contrast can really make things pop. And this like the other one was tonal, the last one I showed you. These are heathered yarns, but they are ostensibly solid yarns. And so Colorwork can really pop in that. And so this one was just really fun to make. And this orange is not a color I would normally knit with, but I push myself as the shop owner to make things that aren't just colors I like. And sometimes people are fascinated by it and want to do it too. And sometimes people say, that's awesome, but I wouldn't pick those colors. And it's all valid. So, this is, I think, the last complete Jennifer Steingass. So I've completed 3. I have 2 more in the works. So I started during, excuse me, I started during that Makealong. I started, the Forestland is another one of her sweaters that has this irregular color work on it. And I just thought it was fascinating. Like she likes nature things, but she likes making it a little bit different. And so I thought, what if I picked a color changing yarn? Noro likes to kind of stripe. And what if that was the body of my sweater? This is Tassogare, which has some content similar to Silk Garden if you know Noro, but in different quantities. And what if I had a solid color for the color work? And it was really cool. And I have to see if I have a barber cord or find a barber cord so I can try this on for you. I took the leftovers from another project, which I'll show you in a minute because I'm trying to stick to the Jennifer Steingass ones right now. And I used the leftovers from some Juniper Moon Patagonia. You'll recognize it in the next piece that I show you that I used it on. I used the leftovers, and it was enough to do the sweater, to do the color work on it. Because usually with colorwork sweaters, this is one exception, but in many colorwork sweaters, unless you're making the largest size, but even some of the larger sizes, you may only need one skein, one 100-gram skein of contrast color for colorwork yoke. It depends. This one, because there's so much solid in the orange up here, I think I needed 2. And I had the cuffs. I think I needed 2. But too many things in here. Okay, and this is a big barber cord, but that's the jumbo ones, the cords we're gonna start carrying. I'm gonna go find some, and I will cut this out in the editing so you don't have to like wait for me to find a barber cord. I see some packs over there. I'm gonna go see if they have long ones in them. I do have a long one here. Yay, didn't have to go too far. So, I am going to chat with y'all while I put this on a barber cord. It keeps wanting to slide off of the cords I'm actually knitting it on, so that I can show you how it's going. So, one of my struggles is when it gets past sleeve separation, which this one's at, and past all the fun stuff that for some people is too complicated. It's not too complicated. Well, I'd like to say doesn't have to be too complicated. It can just feel a little daunting. Take your time with it. You're not in a rush. It's not a competition. Once it gets past the color work, I get bored. And they're beautiful sweaters when they're done. But until it's done, I'm kind of like, oh, I need to do something else now. And, oh, by the way, I will see if I can show you some of the more embroidery that I've been doing. I have embroidery kits in the shop, but I didn't really want this to focus on that necessarily. So I'm gonna stay with my colorwork sweaters for this episode, but we could talk embroidery a little next week, maybe. We'll see. Too much going on, and I'm starting to get hungry for dinner because the craziness of my day. So, okay, I'm almost there. We've slid most of this on to the white barber cord that I found. And I'm always holding the join when I'm moving anything. Okay, so this is on. I am going to knot it in place. And then I'll take this one off. So 3 finished Jennifer Steingass, 1 in progress. I'm just tossing these on the table now. And I really have to spread out the stitches on this barber cord so they're not completely gunked into one place, because then it won't be a big enough hole for me to put on even with 60 inches. Okay, so here is how my Forestland is going. And that Noro color you can see down here, and that's where it's, I don't have Liz to pull down the back. The back's kind of down. See, there's all this excess here. That's why getting the barber cord to settle can be tricky sometimes. Okay, that's a little better. This one may be a little more form-fitting on me. I won't know until I get a little further along, but I think that's really pretty. And I've seen this with solids, with colors. I think it's really pretty. If anything, it's almost a little, it's hopefully gonna drape a little better once I block it. It's a little snug right now, but that's super cute. I really like how it's coming out. I'm at the boring part. So the not as interesting part for me. So it's hard to keep going on it. So, the harvester I have started. And I think I told y'all last week that I want to make it in this raspberry color. They call it dragon fruit. Juniper Moon Patagonia calls it dragon fruit. And Hannah helped me pick out a contrast in Feederbrook, and I don't have the color name in front of me, but it's one of the light ones. And this is how it's going so far. Like, let me see if I can find the pattern again to show you. The top of it has little stems that are a lot like the Avena. And I'm gonna take one of the shorter barber cords from that set and try to show you what it's looking like. I have to screw my cords in, my needle tips. I'm on an interchangeable set for this. And I have stitch markers for every pattern. Look at the floats. Look at that. You can see the color changing in the floats at the very least, which I think is really, really cool. I am still pretty early on in this, so I'm working this around so I can try to ease it a little more onto the barber cord. Look at those floats. You can see them shifting. I haven't really gotten to the part where we're seeing the leaves of the harvest in it. I'm just starting. Can you see that there? They're just starting to appear. And it almost doesn't even look smooth because these stitches, again, I keep my floats really loose so they will settle over time. I would rather have loose floats that look a little funky right now rather than pristine floats and have this thing not fit and pucker too much when I put it on. So, so that's how, you know, that's how that's going so far. And I'm hoping to get to the really warm, yummy colors in here before I, like, because again, it won't take a whole skein of yarn. So I'm hoping I get to the fun colors before I'm done with my pattern work, because then I could color manipulate, but I'm trying not to. So that's the one I'm doing for the Makealong. It will not be done before the Makealong, but the other Makealongs this year, I've done like 2. And I don't think I want to do 2 harvester sweaters. I love Jenn Steingass's patterns. I don't think I want to be making 3 or 4 of them though. So So that's a thing. And I'm trying to pull, but not pull too hard because it'll snap off of my, it'll pop off of my needle. And I'm trying to slide this back on. I'll put the Forestland back on my needle later, but this one, since it's a work in progress, I'm trying to get it back on before I lose track of it. So, but let me show you a few others. I want to say all the other ones I have to show you are all by Caitlin Hunter, spelled with a C for Caitlin instead of a K. So Jenn Steingass and Caitlin Hunter are some of my absolute favorites. The Mountain Mist sweater is by Tin Can Knits, and they have some really, really cute color work stuff too. The ones that really fascinate me are by Jennifer Steingass and Caitlin Hunter. And Caitlin Hunter, she's got some good stuff that's not color work, but one of the things that really draws me to her is that some of hers have color work that goes beyond the yoke. And so it keeps me entertained, The one, okay. I'm going to try to do these in order, I think. So the very first, she has a lot of short sleeve ones too. The very first one I did from Caitlin Hunter was the Soldotna. And I did it in Sammy cotton because I was going like, if I'm making short sleeve, I'm going to make it cotton. And I was smaller then, but the neat thing is this hasn't fully stretched out, even though it's 100% cotton. You can kind of see where it's been on the hanger for a little bit. But Sammy by Amano, it's short because I'm bigger and I'm pulling this up higher, but the fit is really nice. And so this one was meant to be cap sleeve. So my sleeves, which are caught under it, look funny because I've got my t-shirt under it. But let me see if I can shift this a little bit. Like the drape is really nice. It has color work. Like this is all little bits of color work. See, look at those lines. Whee! It's got 4 colors, but you're never doing more than 2 colors on a row. It looks really neat in all different fibers. And we used to sell kits for this. This was 50-gram balls of yarn, and you only needed 6 or 7 for a big size like mine. And I had a lot of fun making this. But see how it's not traditional, but she's got a different aesthetic than Jenn Steingass. And more geometrical, more like intricate, Jenn Steingass is intricate too, just in different ways. More using little lines and little geometric shapes. And you'll see that in other things that she does too. So this is the Soldotna. And then I went, well, maybe there's something to making a t-shirt top in a wool or a merino, because then you can wear it in the fall. So then I made the Jupiter crop. And this one is Juniper Moon Patagonia. And I believe it's a sport weight pattern. So the Patagonia is a light DK. So I said, it'll work, it'll be great. And this one has suffered a little bit of moth damage too, and I haven't fixed it all yet, but I will still try it on to show it for you all. So, this one, I picked some bright colors and it was really fun. And shout out to Deb, at least one of our knitters has made it in the same colors as I did. And I actually, this breathes nicer than you'd think. And especially if I just have a cami or nothing underneath, like nothing underneath it, depends on how you like the feel of the merino against your skin. This is not superwash merino, so it's gonna feel a little different than like a superwash or something else. But you can see I made it longer because it's called a crop. It's still not as long as the t-shirt I'm wearing, but it covers my tummy mostly. You know, it's got color work all over, so even after sleeve separation, you have some repetitive color work to keep you entertained, at least me. And you can see that tight color work that she does instead of a more spaced out, like, Jennifer Steingass has a more open, flowy idea, and this flows, but it's more structured, I feel like. They both have different structures. It's hard to say. But if you like something that is more kind of like, there's a lot more going on in Caitlin Hunter sometimes. So both of them, you just follow the chart. And I have videos on following charts as well on my YouTube channel. They're older ones. I think they still hold up though. So how to read charts, I think something that everyone can learn. And I love charts once you know and understand how to use them. I absolutely love them. So that's the second one I made from Caitlin Hunter. And this was on display in the shop for a long time. And again, I'm trying to fix some holes in it. So then these were almost concurrent, but I believe I did the Makealong one first. And that was the Koivua, spelled with a K. The Koivua, and this is actually the back, so this is the front. This is the one, the main color. It's a worsted weight pattern, and I made it with Juniper Moon Patagonia, which is a light DK, and Feederbrook Farm, which is a mid-range DK. And I used Feederbrook for the color work, and I used different colors that had overlapping color schemes for each part, because this is one that was going to take more than one skein, because you've got color work on the bottom too. But I tried, let me put it on and show it to you. So there's texture between the color work parts, which you may or may not want to do. It's almost got a swancho fit to it. This is by our front door, and someone was like, oh, it's stretched out. I'm like, no, the mannequin it's on is smaller than me, and I made it to fit me. So it has not stretched out. It still fits me really well. And the colorwork yoke is in one colorway of Feederbrook, and then at sleeve, like, see, I don't know if you can tell, this color work starts like right at or right after sleeve separation. So it's a different color here than it is here, but I believe this was all the same skein. I did the body, and then I went back and did the sleeves and tried to make them quasi-match. They weren't going to completely match. But then I used a third color for the color work at the bottom here. That again was very similar to these two, but these are different. So I just love how intricate this is, and it really kept me busy. And again, all those angles, it's very Caitlin Hunter. So this is the Koivua, and again, color changing yarn brought it to life for me. I saw one that was done in a dark main color with a color changing yarn, and went, ooh, I really want to do that. And side note, so the ivory in this is the main color, and the color changing is the contrast. When I hit this part of the feathers, if you can see, the veining in the feathers is more the thing you want to pop. So I started it with the color changing in my left hand and the cream in my right, and didn't like those veins were getting buried, just like that one sleeve that I did the wrong way. So when I hit the leaves here, I switched hands for what was my contrast color. I had my main color in my left hand. I have to actually think about that. And then when I finished that, I went back to the other way around to make the veins in these feathers really pop. So this is the one I used the leftovers of my main color to do the color work, and this one, economical use of yarn. So, and then I was still caught by that, let's do a dark color with a really poppin', vibrant contrast. So I did the Tecumseh, which is also by Caitlin Hunter. And I did it in Jody Long Alba, which is about the same thickness as Juniper Moon Patagonia. Not to get nerdy on yarn at all, but it's more of a tweedy. It's kind of like Rowan felted tweed. And I picked navy, or just a really dark blue, It's got little tweedy flecks. You might be able to see if I hold it closer, but I did a really dark blue as my main color. And I really love that grello, this like green yellow, like kind of like crazy pop in color. And Liz is the one who picked the red as my third color. Now, the red and the grello never interact on this. So there's 3 colors. There's 1 main and 2 contrast. And the contrast ones only ever interact with the main color, which is can be part of your choice, is like, are these gonna play well with each other? Do they need to? Yeah, and again, you can kind of see the style of a lot of Caitlin Hunter's. It's kind of roomy. It's almost swancho feeling, like sweater poncho feeling, but it's not. It definitely is a full-blown sweater. And when I have my arms down at my sides, then you can really see that it feels more like sleeves than if I do this. But it's nice and roomy, and after I blocked this, it's got a really lovely drape to it. It's plenty long. Like, I can't even really, I'm trying to get it's just about as long as the t-shirt I'm wearing, which makes me feel comfortable to wear it with jeans. And this was so much fun to make. And I'm pretty sure Junum Per Moon Patagonia and Jody Long Alba both have like 382 yards on a ball. So they've got a lot of yardage, but I only needed 1 ball for all the contrast. So, and the crazy thing is it looks like there's all this complicated stuff like going over and over and over. If I hold it out like this, the first 2 repeats happen before sleeve separation. And there's 1 repeat past sleeve separation. But it kept me going on the body parts of it. Even with that, it still took me a while to finish because I stall out on things. But this one, I want to say this is one of my favorites. So, I mean, they're all my favorites, right? But this is really lovely and fun. And I run really hot right now because I think I'm heading into perimenopause of some kind, kind of that age. So I don't wear a lot of these long sleeve ones. And even the short sleeve ones are a little bit too toasty to wear at the shop where it's climate controlled. So that's rough sometimes. But so let's see. Let's do a summary of this. I have done 4 Caitlin Hunters. I have finished 3 Jennifer Steingasses, and I have 2 on needles. And there's plenty more of both of their designs that I think are awesome and would be lovely to do. I try to share the wealth a little bit with some other pattern writers, and y'all know I have a lot of other not colorwork things going on too. I will share those for another day. But this was all to get us excited about the colorwork sweater, Jenn Steingass kind of focused sweater Makealong that is starting soon. So August and September, if you're in the area and want to take the kickoff class, August 2nd is like the big day for the colorwork sweater Makealong. August 2nd, we're having a kickoff class here in the shop for $50. You get detailed kind of like a heads up, answering questions, talking about gauge, talking about like picking out yarns if you haven't done it yet. You get reduced prices on the yarns and everything if you take that. And then again, just to go over in-shop things, we're gonna have in-shop Makealong specific sit and stitches, and those are going to be like the 6th, the 20th, they're all Wednesdays. This goes too fast. The 3rd and the 24th. There's a jump in September because I'm planning on, it may or may not happen, but I'm planning on being away. The shop will still be open, but I won't be here for assistance in the middle of September. So if you need assistance while you're here, it's free to come and hang with whoever else is working on projects that are like this. If you'd like assistance, there'll be a low hourly rate. Talk to me for more details on that. The virtual option is not as intense as my masterclass. Like I said, I'm going to try to make the masterclass available for purchase as the recordings, not for as much money as if you had been to them in person 2 years ago, but I think they hold up because they're talking about like distinct sections of making this sweater. Our Coach and Connect is an hour, 4 times, $40 for the whole thing. And the dates for that are a little wonky because of the time I'm going away in September and other virtual events we don't want to burn out. So we're going to be doing August 2nd. It's 6:30 to 7:30 US Eastern Time. August 2nd, August 23rd, September 6th, and September 27th. And sorry, I just put my hand down and made the whole table shake. Though that is available for purchase through the online shop. And we have a couple people signed up. We'd love to welcome more in, and that's this Saturday. So, consider if you want to. Okay, before I run away and go post this video and go get food before I head home to my hopefully not overbearably hot house, I will show you kits that we have. Maybe we'll talk a little more embroidery next week because I'm still such a newbie to embroidery. But I couldn't find that green one. It was like right behind something on my table. So here's the little green one I made that is only 5 colors. And it's got like daisies, and it was really, really fun. I have plans of thoughts to do with these to make them fun and maybe available for purchase, but I'm playing around with it. Maybe just Christmas presents. I already showed you all this one. I think I already showed you all, stuck on yarn. This one, this was like the cover photo last week, right? And I might have showed you this one partially done. I finished it. I'm not really sure which way is up on this because I think they had this way up, but then this butterfly, dragonfly thing is totally doing a nosedive. But I think this one's really, really pretty. This one had a lot of colors in it, and it was kind of daunting at first, and a lot of satin stitch, but I really like how it came out. So I've already started some others. I'm gonna try to start one of the kits. Jessica Long Embroidery is one of the kits we brought into the shop. And she's got some they're kind of smaller, but more detailed and more fun and more like she drew them. Like these are all from overseas, Amazon, not fancy, not supporting local artists and things. And I'm trying to support small business with what I bring into the shop for sale. And that means the price is going to be different because small business people can't do the same thing as mass production. So, I think that might be everything I wanted to talk about today. I'm losing track and I'm getting hungry. It has been a crazy day. So, one more thing. Next week, I think I'm going to try, because we'll be in August and we'll be doing the Makealong and everything. I think I'm going to try another YouTube Live. And just to hang with y'all and just to see how it goes. And, if you have suggestions of what you'd like to see there or what you'd like me to bring home so I can show you there, let me know. Hopefully I'll have power. If not, I'll be back here. I would hope I wouldn't be out of power from today, but you never know what's going to happen next week with trying to fix all the stuff going on in our neighborhood. So YouTube Live next week from 3 to 4 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Join me if you can. And we'll see if I've made progress on this guy. And we can talk harvester. We can talk stranded color work because I love it so much. And I just had stitches pop off this because I was trying to show it off to you all. I used to say, don't scream and yell and don't pull anything. And now I say, scream and yell as loud as you like. Just don't pull anything. Just be gentle. Get it back on. Okay. So I am going to go forage for food. And that means I'm not going to eat as healthy as I'd like to because I'm trying not to open my fridge. And I will talk to y'all soon. I think, ooh, let me check this before I say goodbye. Oh. Yeah, it still might be my house, but all the rest of it might not. There was a big power outage in the small one, and the small one's still me, and so I think I still don't have power. I'm still gonna get food just in case. Everyone, hope that I have power when I go back home so I can sleep more comfortably tonight, and I will see you live next week from 3 to 4 p.m. On this channel, and let's just see what happens, right? So like, subscribe, as Liz would say, ring the bell, all the fun stuff for getting notifications and things like that. And as I always like to say, may your crafting be filled with joy and confidence. I'll see you live next week. Bye.